Hey guys, it's MMA Vulture coming at you live with UFC Noche, O Malley Vs Dvalishvili recap. And the first thing I want to go ahead and talk about UFC Noche is the theatricals. The theatricals were a great addition in my opinion. I think that they complemented the fights very, very well. It didn't take away from the fights. It didn't go on too long. It didn't really lose my attention. It was great. I really think that they complemented the fights very well. I think that it was a success in terms of the theatricals. I think that the backdrops were amazing in the fights. I think it honestly reminded me a little bit of UFC 5, like the stand and bangs, the arenas. I think that it was really cool to have, and I think that I for sure want to see another event happen there. And I know Dana White said it's a once in a lifetime thing, but I think that if enough people say stuff, then we can get another event to happen there. And I think all around that was a great theatrical event, and I'm really impressed because I did not think it was going to be that good. I was doubting it, and to be honest, but it really did pull through, and I enjoyed it. And we're gonna go ahead and get into the fights now. Starting with the first fight of the night, it was Raul Rojas versus Aoriqileng. And at the start of this fight, Aoriqileng came out. He was pushing the pace. He was controlling the distance well. Raul Rojas did take him down, ended up ground and pounding him come the end of first round. Then come second round, Raul Rojas didn't shoot a takedown at all, which I found was very weird. And Aoriqileng was looking like the better fighter on the feet. He was tagging Raul Rojas on the feet. And Raul Rojas, for some reason, did not want to go to the ground and ended up losing that second round. He played it risky and ended up losing. And then come third round, he looked good again because he took it to the ground. He took it to where he had the obvious advantage, which was the ground. He started taking him down. He looked good in the clinches. He had great kicks. He also did have a little trouble keeping down Aoriqileng, but other than that, he looked very good. I think that he does need to work on his boxing, but other than that, he looked great in this fight, and he ended up winning via decision, as you guys can see, 29-28. I did think that he was going to win by sub. That was my official call, and that's what I had in my parlay, which ended up losing because of that. But other than that, I think Raul Rojas could have done better, and we're going to go ahead and move right along to the next fight, which I'm very excited for, and it is Joshua Van versus Edgar Chairez. And getting into this fight, we start the first round, and Joshua Van is starting slow as he always does. Edgar Chairez comes out. He's looking sharp. He had great boxing. He was selecting his shots very well, not overextending or putting himself in risky situations. He had clean, quick kicks. He was maintaining distance really well in that first round, tagging up Joshua Van, like I said. He ended up buckling Joshua Van via spinning back fist come that second round, which was amazing. I mean, dude, this was a back and forth brawl. And Joshua Van looked crisp. He had a crisp jab. His striking looked noticeably better come the second round, oddly enough. And he was mixing in his shots really well to the body, which he did hurt Edgar to the body. He ended up grappling Edgar, where I thought Edgar would have had the advantage, and it actually was Joshua that had the advantage. Edgar couldn't even take Joshua down. As you can see, he had 0 takedowns off of 2 attempts, and Joshua Van took him down 3 out of 3 times. Joshua Van looked amazing come second and third round. First round, like I said, he starts slow. He didn't really look good at all. But come second and third round, he was a whole different person. His boxing looked excellent. His striking was crazy, like his striking was noticeably better come second and third round, which is crazy. But he is a dog. They were both tough, and I ultimately thought that this was going to be fight of the night. I really did. And Joshua Van stuck with his guns and ended up winning via decision 29-28. And he ultimately looked great. And if you did have him, I did pick Joshua Van to win, and I thought this was going to go the distance if you had the overs. I did see that happening, and I did call that. That's good for you. But ultimately, Joshua Van looked like a dog, and so did Edgar Chairez. I mean, they were both two tough-ass fighters, man. They were tough as nails, and this was a brawl to the end. Moving right along, we had the next bout of the night. It was Yazmin Jauregui versus Ketlen Souza. And man, my reaction to this fight was... I literally sat there like that for a good 5 minutes. This was the craziest thing that nobody saw coming. Ketlen Souza knocking her down and then ultimately finishing her by sub. Ketlen Souza came out slow. She was a little gun shy. She wasn't really throwing much, and when she was throwing a little bit wild and mostly power shots. And when Yazmin came out, she had the noticeable speed advantage. Her boxing looked great. She had a stiff, quick jab. She had great, quick kicks from the outside, and she looked good. She looked way better than Ketlen Souza and looked way faster. All of us were like, oh, Yazmin has this in the bag. It didn't really look like Ketlen Souza had anything that was special. And then, long and behold, Ketlen Souza comes with a power punch and clips Yazmin. And ends up subbing her after clipping her via rear naked choke. It was the craziest thing ever. And like I said, this probably shattered a lot of parlays because this was a crazy, crazy ending that nobody saw happening. I thought that this was going to go over just like everybody else probably thought. But I thought Ketlen Souza, if anything, was going to catch her via kick, if you guys remember from my previous videos. But no, she ended up clipping her with her hands, and man, she has some powerful hands. This is the second time that woman fight has ended in a knockout. If you guys remember the Contender series, I think she was like an 11-1 dog or 9-1 dog, something like that, and she ended up laying out that other chick. This is the same case. Another chick fight ended with a bizarre knockout, and then I know this one ended by sub, but you guys know what I mean. A brutal, brutal punch, man. And Ketlen Souza is a beast. And that was, like I said, crazy, crazy fight. And moving right along to another great, crazy fight that happened in Manuel Torres versus Ignacio Bahamondes. And man, I thought Manuel Torres was going to have this. He came out strong with the heavy pressure, powerful shots. He looked great. He was pushing the pace. He ended up catching Bahamondes early, but then started hunting for the finish and getting overzealous and overextending on his shots. He looked great up until that point when he started hunting for the finish. He started throwing super wild. And then Bahamondes was calm. He stayed back. Even though he got caught early, he was calm and selected his shots really well. He had a great high kick that ended up knocking down Torres. He ended up staying very, very patient, even though he got knocked down early, and ended up beating Torres. His counter-punching looked great. He ended up catching Torres with a counter-punch, knocking him out, and his hands are powerful. He looked great in the fight against Torres. I thought Torres had it. I thought Torres was going to come out and use his grappling. He didn't even try to use his grappling. He used his boxing. His boxing looked great. He looked powerful. And then after he clipped him, just got way too overzealous and way too he just tried too much to end Bahamondes, and it ended up eating him in the ass. And Bahamondes looked great. He selected his shots really well. He counterpunched Torres and ended up knocking him out. And Bahamondes looked like the greater fighter all around. And it was an amazing, amazing fight. Moving right along to Irene Aldana versus Norma Dumont. And coming into this, I had Norma Dumont, who I thought was the overall better fighter, which she was. She came out, she had quick, fast hands, she looked notably faster, she had great, powerful kicks. She overall looked amazing. She had great head movement. Irene Aldana was having trouble finding her, hitting her, because Norma Dumont's head movement looked amazing. She was slick. Her footwork looked amazing. And Irene Aldana is a tough fighter, as we all know. She came out with the constant pressure the entire fight, did not stop, even though she was eating shots the whole time. She was throwing a little bit wide of hooks and did look noticeably slower than Dumont. She couldn't land on Dumont the whole first round. She found more success landing come the second and third round. But other than that, Norma Dumont looked overall better. And as you can see, she won via decision 30-27. And she just picked apart Irene Aldana, which is what I thought was going to happen, and ultimately won via decision, which I called. I knew that this was going to go over on the rounds. I do think that, if I'm not mistaken, it was horrible odds. It was like -500. So if you guys did take that, great job. But ultimately, Norma Dumont came out with the W, and so did we. Moving right along, we had what was another. This fight was insane. Insane. Osbourne comes out quick, speedy, like always. We knew he had a clear speed advantage in this fight. He's powerful, had that one-punch knockout power, and he drops Ronaldo Rodriguez early in this fight. And I don't even know how Ronaldo Rodriguez ended up staying alive. I don't know how he didn't get knocked out. I don't know how this fight did not get called off. I really did think it was going to get called off. But Ronaldo Rodriguez ended up recovering very, very well. He got dropped early, like I said. His punches looked great. He was a tough fighter. His elbows looked great. His ground and pound in the first, after getting ground and pounded in the first, he looked great. He survived a super deep triangle in the first as well, and that lasted about 2 minutes, which was insane. Like I said, everybody was on their toes thinking that this was over. He reversed positions on O'Day multiple times, and he looked great doing it. After reversing the positions, he was ground and pounding O'Day Osbourne, and O'Day just couldn't get off of his back. He couldn't get Ronaldo off of his back. Let me rephrase that. He really could not get Ronaldo off of his back. Ronaldo was constantly on his back, constantly putting pressure, constantly making his legs tired, using his own weight, Ronaldo's weight. And O'Day Osbourne, other than that, yeah, obviously he notably did look better on the feet than Ronaldo Rodriguez, but Ronaldo took him to the ground and showed where there was an obvious advantage for himself, which was the ground. And he looked great and ultimately won via decision, 29-28. I thought it could have gone either way in this fight, but ultimately went our way, and we got the dub with Ronaldo Rodriguez. And if you guys did do the over on rounds, I did think that this was going to go over on rounds. It did probably give you guys a heart attack if you guys did the over. I did not do the over, thank God, but this did give a couple people heart attacks. I know that. Moving right along, we have a great fight in Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Ribovics. which I thought Daniel Zellhuber was going to win. I really did. I thought he was going to be able to maintain distance really well, keep Esteban on the outside, but ultimately I was wrong. Esteban was quick. He had quick hands. He was able to get inside the pocket and then come back outside the pocket well, super well. He was able to tag Zellhuber and then get back outside of Zellhuber's range to where he couldn't be hit. Another thing I do want to notice or mention is Zellhuber was very patient. He had great boxing. He had a stiff, quick jab, and ultimately Esteban just looked way better on the feet than Daniel Zellhuber. He had the better boxing. He had the better kicks in terms of he had great inside low kicks. He had great inside boxing as well. He was closing the distance really well. His inside striking looked noticeably better than Daniel Zellhuber, seeing as obviously Zellhuber has the longer length. And Esteban just looked way quicker, way better, and ended up winning via decision. This was another brawl, which we all thought was going to be fight of the night. There was so many fight of the nights on this card. After Joshua Van, I was like, oh wow, that's definitely fight of the night. Then come the next fight, O'Day versus Souza. That fight knocks her out. That could have been fight of the night. Then we have O'Day versus Ronaldo. That could have been fight of the night. Now we have Daniel Zellhuber and Esteban, and they're brawling it out. It was just a crazy sequence of straight brawls and straight crazy fights. Amazing fights at that. And Esteban ended up beating Daniel Zellhuber in a brawl and ultimately got the decision, like I said, 29-28, and it was a great fight. Moving along to my lock of the night, which was Daniel Lopes. And like I thought, Diego Lopes, I don't know if I said Daniel Lopes, Diego Lopes looked all around better. He was the more dominant fighter in terms of everything. He did knock down Ortega early in the first minute of the first round. He was raining down fists on Brian Ortega, dropping hammers, ground and pounding him. He had the noticeably better striking as well as the noticeably better grappling, which many people thought Ortega had. And I told you guys this previously, Diego Lopes had both, all around was the better fighter. Diego Lopes came out, he had great low kicks, he had the obvious striking and jiu-jitsu advantage. Brian Ortega came out, he had a stiff jab, he had decent boxing. The commentators were trying to gaslight or trying to say that Diego Lopes was looking gassed come second and third round. The whole time was beating the crap out of Brian Ortega, yet they were saying his gas tank was failing and he was looking noticeably slower, which made absolutely no sense in my opinion. Brian Ortega's boxing is absolute dog shit, even though the commentators want to say, oh, he's elite. No, it looked awful. He gets hit in the face way too much. He doesn't move his head off the center line at all, and ultimately got beat by a better Diego Lopes in a dominant 30-27 unanimous decision. And like I said, I had this as my lock of the night, as well as one of my confident picks was Diego Lopes and Brian Ortega to go over on the rounds, and then as you guys can see, it went to decision. So if you guys took that, that was one of my more confident picks, and I actually took that myself, and I ended up winning, taking moneyline and over on the rounds. Moving right along to the co-main event of the evening, and it is Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. And this fight went exactly how I said it was going to go and how I thought it was going to go. It was Valentina Shevchenko taking Alexa Grasso down and taking her to exactly where she had the complete and utter advantage. And Shevchenko came out pressure pressuring and smothering Grasso. She also looked notably stronger than Alexa Grasso. Her boxing looked better than Grasso, and her jiu-jitsu looked better than Grasso. She had great high kicks. And like I said before in my previous video, she was going to take her down every single round. And she took her down not only first round, not only second round, not only third round, not only fourth round, every single round, the fifth round as well. She took her down. She maintained control, which, like I said previously in their previous fight, Alexa Grasso is a great scrambler, and that's where Shevchenko was having trouble, was keeping her down. But this fight, that's exactly what she fixed, was maintaining control. She kept Alexa Grasso down, and Alexa Grasso could not get up. She could not get up. Shevchenko just looked all around better. I know Alexa Grasso did throw up multiple submission attempts, but obviously it didn't hit, and Valentina Shevchenko looked all around better, and she ended up getting the unanimous decision 50-45 and looked a hell of a lot better than Alexa Grasso, which is what I saw happening. If you guys saw my previous video, like I said, this is exactly how I said it was going to happen, and I thought that this was going to go to decision, and it did. And Shevchenko looked like the better fighter, and if you guys took her money line, that was another confident pick that I said I had, and she was plus money. So good for you if you took her. Moving right along to the main event of this card in O Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. And man, same thing as the previous fight. It was just a grappling war. It was just Merab taking O Malley down and O'Malley not being able to do shit about it. O'Malley's takedown defense was not there. I mean, Merab just looked overall better and just took advantage of the grappling advantage. That's purely what he did, which is exactly what Shevchenko did to Alexa Grasso. Merab ultimately did exactly the same, which many people did not like. I did think that Sean was going to look a lot better and was going to ultimately use his counterpunching abilities and use his feet to put him in position to knock Merab out. And I thought that was a confident pick. That was one of my confident picks, was Sean O'Malley, but I ate my words, and Merab did exactly what I should have saw coming, because I saw that coming in the Shevchenko fight, but I did not think that this fight was going to be like that. And Merab came out, smothered O'Malley, had relentless pressure, constant pressure. He was ground and pounding Sean. He took him down, same as Shevchenko. Not one, not two, not three, not four. All 5 rounds he took Sean O'Malley down. His striking actually looked very crisp. He maintained control of Sean with ease. He ultimately dominated Sean via decision, as you guys can see. He looked a lot better, and I'm eating my words on the Sean call, because I really did think Sean was going to be better. But something I do want to talk about was the call out by the supposed fight next. I'm excited to see Merab's next fight whenever he fights Umar. I think that's going to be a great fight if they do end up making that happen. But for right now, Merab looked way better than Sean and ultimately looked great in this fight. I know a lot of people, like I said previously, was kind of shitting on it because these two were kind of the boring fights of the night. The Brian Ortega, Osbourne, Daniel Zellhuber, all those fights previously were a hell of a lot better and were a brawl. And ultimately, this was a great, great card. And thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And peace.